Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Jay and welcome to the channel, and welcome back to Germany Emergent Biopark here in Jurassic World Evolution 2, where today we're going to be introducing a family of Kentrosaurus to the park. And I say family because today we're not just going to be using the regular base game Kentrosaurus, but we're of course using the new Pierce variant from the Camp Cretaceous pack, which is actually quite a bit larger than the actual Kentrosaurus, which makes it really great for creating a sort of pseudo family unit with 2 parents and 3 offspring. So that's going to be really fun, I think. As for the habitat itself goes, we're not going to build an awful lot today. It's just going to be a really quite straightforward habitat. It'll look a little bit like a meadow, kind of a field that goes up a hill. I think it ends up looking quite pretty. I do mostly infrastructure work today around the parts and stuff, really trying to get a feel for what this park is going to be like. And I'll talk a bit later about it, but generally I'm still working out the identity of this park and I'm still struggling a little bit. Like with Yosemite, it was a lot clearer kind of like what I was going to go for, but with this one it's still really finding its feet, I think. But yeah, I really enjoyed building today. It was a lot of fun. And just want to talk about a few other things that have been going on while we were building here, because I've had quite an eventful couple of weeks, I think. Was it last Friday? Last Friday I went to the Natural History Museum London for one of their late events. These are events they do once a year, I believe, where they have like talks and games and all sorts of stuff at the Natural History Museum late at night. Well, I say late at night, it's like 7. But it was really fun, and of course the reason I was really excited for this one specifically was because Jurassic World Evolution 2 and Planet Zoo had like little booths there, little stalls. And I got to meet Rich Newbold, who's the game director for Jurassic World Evolution 2, so that's very, very cool. He's such a lovely guy. We chatted a little bit about the game and it was just such a fun time. And I saw the Planet Zoo stall as well, and it was really cool. It's like they were kind of showing people the value of teaching people about nature and animal behavior and all that sort of stuff via games like this, which I always think is such a cool thing. Like the fact that you can learn about like biomechanics, for example, by just learning a little bit more about how the game devs implement behaviors for the animals and stuff like that. It's just so interesting. And it was just really, really cool, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was very, very fun. If you want to see the picture of me and Rich Newbold, feel free to check out my Twitter. It was a fun moment. But yeah, otherwise as well, recently, not too long ago, I believe, there was a new study about Spinosaurus that was meant to drop, and I was really excited about it because every time we get new Spinosaurus information, obviously the animal changes a whole bunch, and then everyone gets super excited about it. And like the last time we got really big Spino information, we found out it had that big paddle tail, so I was really excited. Turned out the paper that came out wasn't really that much focused on Spinosaurus. What it was a big study of a whole bunch of animals, like up to 200 I think, and comparing their bone densities. And so I'm going to nerd out a little bit here because this is really cool. But they compared their bone densities to see which ones would have lived an aquatic lifestyle and which ones would have lived a more terrestrial lifestyle. And they found out like Spinosaurus and Baryonyx had really dense bones like penguins, meaning they spent probably a lot of their time in the water, which is really cool. We always knew Spinosaurus spent a lot of time in the water, and probably other Spinosaurus like Baryonyx too. And it's nice to get a further confirmation. But the really interesting thing is that Suchomimus didn't have those dense bones, which is really interesting, which means out of these 3 Spinosaurs, Suchomimus, the one that literally means crocodile mimic, probably didn't actually spend as much time in the water, which is super interesting. What that really means for the species in terms of how it behaves, we don't fully know yet, but really, really cool stuff. If you want to learn more about it, just like I said, go on Twitter and look at my recent retweets and stuff. You'll see some really interesting threads and things about it, but super fascinating stuff. Apologies for just nerding out randomly, but I find this stuff so interesting, and of course this is a dinosaur game. We're going to talk about the dinosaurs, of course. Another really cool thing that came out was a new paper describing Amargasaurus, the sauropod with the spines that we do have in this game, which I haven't used in a while and I might use soon. It was thought that Amargasaurus for a long time, it had those big neck spines, and a lot of people thought those were just exposed, maybe with a keratin sheath on top, so that they would have just been spikes along its neck. And now this new paper's come out and says, Probably not actually. It probably actually had some sort of frill or muscle attached to the neck frill so that it would have been covered. Which means the Jurassic World Evolution one now is a bit less accurate, but it's still really cool to know that it had this, and it makes it look so weird because the idea is that this frill probably didn't just go between the spines, but between the two rows of spines as well, if that makes sense. Meaning it probably looked really odd, and probably other related dinosaurs like, I can always forget how to pronounce this dinosaur's name, Badgerdesaurus, I believe. It's another Dicraeosaurus sauropod, which has those spines except they point it forward. Probably also had that frill kind of situation, which is so interesting. Like, imagine seeing these animals in real life. They must have looked so bizarre. But, you know, I think that the moral of the story really is that we can never be prepared when it comes to paleontology news, because, like, you could find out just one thing and the image of an animal can get completely overturned, which I think is kind of the beauty of the field in a way. Like, the fact that we'll never... Well, maybe not we'll never, but we keep finding out new things and keep learning. And maybe we will come to an endpoint where we learn everything we can about this animal. But I feel like there'll always be new stuff waiting to be, like, you know, just found out. And that's so, so cool. So yeah, that's me just going on about that for a little bit. And of course, that's just interesting, I think, especially because these dinosaurs, like Suchomimus and Amargasaurus, are both dinosaurs we have in the game. Just really fascinating stuff. But it also means that, you know, like a Baryonyx, now that we know it's more aquatic, we could make a really, like, heavily aquatic themed habitat for it with, like, lots of lakes and a swamp. I think that would look really, really nice. And we could do an Amargasaurus habitat, I think, further down the line. That would be cool. I'll probably talk about that again at that point, but I can't imagine we'd find a way to make that look any different depending on the fact that we now know about its spines. But yeah, oh well. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the time-lapse here. It's, again, nothing too fancy, just a bit of infrastructure work, lots of little rock clusters here and there, a lot of deleting, going back and trying out new things. I'm still, again, struggling to find an identity for this part, but we'll figure it out as we go, I'm sure. In a second, we'll hop over to the live play, of course, and got a few name suggestions. Don't forget you can also leave name suggestions for the Kentrosaurus today. We'll see a whole family of them later. In the video, we'll see them up close. We'll also be able to see them in the cinematics, which will look really, really nice. I'm probably going to slow down a little bit with the Jurassic World Evolution videos, just because we are getting a new Planet Zoo update on the 12th of April, and I think there's probably, you know, there's always a DLC with these things, so fingers crossed, and whatever that DLC may be, I'm sure I'm going to play with it in Planet Zoo, so maybe see a few more Planet Zoo videos than Jurassic World Evolution, and then we'll try and balance them out a little bit. But yeah, that is the end of the time-lapse. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll see you all in the live play in just a second. See you then. Okay, so here we are in the game, and as you can see over here, this is our Kentrosaurus Habitat. It's pretty chill, nothing too fancy. I mainly wanted to, like, try out some different infrastructure stuff today, like I said. You know, with the paths and things like that. I quite like how this one turned out. This looks pretty cool. I wish there was a centerpiece that fit here a bit better. I couldn't really find anything that worked really nicely in this spot, but I might see if I can rework that. I really am not sure what the direction of this park is at the moment. It really just seems to be me kind of throwing things and seeing what sticks, really. I like these weird sausage paths. They kind of create nice little open areas in front of habitats where you can attach the viewing galleries. I think that looks nice. I think I'm using too many planters, or too few planters. I cannot tell. I don't know. And we'll see how that goes as we go further along the park. Of course, I'm willing to come back and change everything if I'm not feeling it. Like, you know, I'm still very much like in that period of discovering what this park is going to feel like. So far, I'm okay with it. I'm not like super like 100% settled in a lot of this stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, let's have a look at our Kentrosaurus habitat and our Kentrosaurus, of course. I think it looks really, really nice. The main thing that I like about how this looks is that it looks like a nice little hill. And it reminds me a lot of fields with like cows or sheep in them. And sometimes, you know, they're on fields and you can see them grazing like right up a slope or right down a slope like this. And I think it looks quite cool. Of course, we're using the Pierce Kentrosaurus from the new Camp Cretaceous pack. I think it looks really, really good. It's a little bit more accurate than the base game Kentosaurus in a couple of ways. I think the spikes are a little bit more accurate placed, especially this one. This shoulder spike is meant to be on the shoulder, whereas in the base game version, it's kind of further back on the torso. Let's see if we can find one of those. Yep, as you can see in this one, it's further back on the torso. I so much prefer how chunky the Pierce Kentrosaurus is. It's really cute and chunky. It is very big though, much bigger than an actual Kentrosaurus. We're like approaching Stegosaurus sizes, which is definitely not the case in real life. But what I like about this is that it gives us the chance to do what I've done here, which is create a sort of family unit, which I really like how it looks, where we have 2 parents and 3 offspring, which is of course not something we can do in the game because of course we don't have baby dinosaurs here, but this ability to have variants of a dinosaur that are of different sizes just creates this really interesting thing where it looks like we're looking at a family right now. And I'm really pleased with that because it just makes this habitat unique in a different way. While other habitats might be unique in terms of how they look or the species they're in, here it's more because that we have a family unit of animals, which I really, really like. Like I said at the start of the park building series that we're doing here, I am playing with comfort on. So we are going to be making sure that all of our dinosaurs are at a good level of comfort. And as you can see with this one, it is 100% comfort, even with the area and everything like that. So absolutely a-okay. It is nice to be playing with comfort and stuff like this on because, it just makes you, like, I guess a bit more attached to the animal in a way, I guess. I don't fully know how to explain it, but, the fact that you're putting in the effort to care for them really does help, make it feel a bit more like close to the animal, I guess. But yeah, while we're here, of course, we got some name suggestions from last week. Only a few this time, mainly because we only have 3 dinosaurs to name. So, of course, like always, I'll get the first 3 names that I come up with. First off, from Duck, and I believe someone else also suggested this, but Sobek for Asuchamimus, which is a great name. Sobek, of course, is an Egyptian god with a crocodile head, which is very appropriate for the crocodile mimic itself. And like I talked about earlier, it's been so cool seeing the new news about Asuchamimus that it actually was probably quite terrestrial for a dinosaur, which is super interesting. It's because everyone thought all Spinosaurus, had quite aquatic lifestyles, but then suddenly we learned that Asuchamimus was the odd one out and was actually quite terrestrial. So very cool. Next one, of course, let's do the other one because it's in the light, this one. So Izzy wants it named Buddy, Buddy being the nickname for Izzy's son, which is very cute. So yeah, there you go, Buddy having a nice meal of fish. And the campfire also suggested Sobek for the Asuchamimus. Who is next? So Hydroraptor suggested Crocodilus, which is of course the family name for the crocodilians, which is really nice. Is it the family name or the it's not the genus, is it? I'm not 100% sure which level of taxonomy is Crocodilus, but very cool name nonetheless. So yes, that's the only 3, of course, that we have. Because we only have 3 Asuchamimus, but thank you to everyone for all these suggestions. I believe we also had a Nigersaurus that needs names, don't we? Oh no, we don't, we have named them. But thank you so much to everyone for the suggestions. Of course, now we have a total of 5 Kentrosaurus that need names as well. Feel free to name them, and of course, because they are a family, feel free to suggest names that maybe fit that theme because we have 2 parents and 3 offspring over there. Gosh, I really love how this hill looks. It's such like a nice meadow. Because they required a lot of, ground fiber, I did put in lots of ground fiber. And I think the ground fiber with these flowers looks so pretty. And I really like how this looks. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode. Thanks so much for watching. Do leave a comment down below. Tell me what you liked about this. Let me know what you would like to see going further in the park. And of course, leave name suggestions for our dinosaurs. With that all being said, I will see you all in the next video. Bye!